What is going on, everybody? So I figured I'd double dip today. I went on Rob Shue's channel earlier, but I decided if we're going to start the off season and we need to start the off season talk, there's only one person I want to have on to start the off season talk, and it's none other than this man. I'm sure you guys know him well.
Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. And I love your intro, man. That got me fired up. I'm happy to be here, man. How's it going?
It's going good. We were talking off chat about, or off screen about, it's cool to talk about the off season and all the stuff that goes into the off season, but man, we want to be talking about the Super Bowl right now. So,
I know, right?
But fact of the matter is, regardless of how we feel and regardless of how many Rams fans try to attack me, the Rams are the better team that day,
yes,
and they deserve to be there. Same with the Bengals. And so props to them. I just tell Rams fans, stop worrying about the 49ers and worry about the Bengals, okay? Because your team's supposed to be there, and you paid all that money. So leave me alone for 6-8 months, and then we'll talk again in August. But I figured I'd have Jay on, and, there's a lot of stuff that, has been talked about ad nauseum with some of us, but it's good to kind of refresh some people's minds who don't live on the internet or live on YouTube like me and Jay do. So, Jay, I guess a quick note that I actually don't have written down. I wanted to get your opinion on this whole Kyler Murray situation that seems to have popped up out of nowhere with him taking all of his Arizona Cardinals stuff or anything that ties him to the Arizona Cardinals off of Instagram. Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about that. That's breaking news to me. Wow, that's stunning. I believe Kyler Murray is still. He's got one more year left on his contract, I think, because he was selected the same year as Bosa. So yeah, he's got 1 year left on his contract. For those that don't know, Kyler Murray he did get drafted in the MLB draft by the Oakland A's, a Bay Area team. So maybe he's thinking, hey, I should have chose baseball. But that's unfortunate for the Red Sea. That's very unfortunate for them. But hopefully it works out whatever for them.
Yeah, I was thinking of my boy Mauro Tanaka, my buddy who covers the Arizona Cardinals on YouTube. He's got some legendary little things that he does when he goes to games. He makes these cinematic Instagram stories that I think are just fantastic. So hopefully that works its way out. I was telling Rob, I said, I'm not going to lie in front and say that I'm upset that stuff could go bad for any of these teams in this division. I'm all about the Niners. So whatever helps the 49ers in whatever way that it is, I really don't care. I mean, I love people and I just from a personal fan perspective for my team, whatever helps 49ers, if it means that guy's going to retire suddenly, it's good for us, So it's funny. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and the Seahawks should trade Russell Wilson too this offseason.
Absolutely, and get rid of their head coach as well.
Exactly.
So, and hopefully the Rams will fall apart after the playoffs here because they pretty much bought their team. So that was my biggest gripe. As much as I don't want to talk about anything with the Rams anymore, one of my biggest arguments or pet peeves is just getting into the whole listen, we built through the draft. I can't say we're better. I feel like we have more of a long-term window, so to speak. And it's something that can go on long-term, but it's worked for them. They're in the Super Bowl again. They've been in the Super Bowl, 2 out of the last 4 seasons, I think, or something like that. So I guess there's, part of my French, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And that's really horrible, actually. I probably shouldn't use that, but you know what I'm trying to say.
We know what you're trying to say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Rams, they were the better team. Against us. At the end of the day, they made more plays. Cooper Kupp and OBJ dominated that game.
They did.
The 49ers defense could not get off the field on third down. That was very frustrating to watch. I think you could say this for most secondaries in the NFL. If the pass rush doesn't get home, a quarterback, they can eat you alive. They can throw the open,
especially that pass offense.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they're not scrubs, any of those guys. So
right. And we needed Jimmy and the offensive line, especially to put forth their best performance in the fourth quarter. We didn't get it. So
I think what reminds me it's the offseason more than anything is the Pro Bowl, which is kind of one of my topics. I want to spend as less time on it as possible, but Rob Shue said he watched the Pro Bowl. I did not. He asked me if I cared about it. I said I didn't at all. He's Mr. Positive. You're usually Mr. Positive as well. I'm not going to lie to any of the people who come on this channel. I did not watch the Pro Bowl. I do not care about the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
I just want my dudes healthy and ready to go into the offseason, take some time off. So what was your opinion on that?
Man, I told myself I'm not going to watch the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to do it. And Sunday came and I was like flipping around the channels and I was like, there's nothing really on to watch. And I was like, the Pro Bowl is on. Maybe I should turn it on. I turned it on and it's literally, it's just not football. This is a poor representation of what football is, but the guys, they don't want to get hurt. So they're not going to go 100%. They're not even really rushing the quarterback. They're not tackling like it. Maybe they should just do flag football at this point because it's an embarrassment. And I quickly turned the channel. I did see a few highlights on IG with the 49er players. That was good to see. And hopefully we can continue to see. Actually, well, hopefully we don't see the players in the Pro Bowl because then that means we're not playing in the Super Bowl. But man, yeah, the NFL has to do something. I can't believe they actually charge fans to watch that in the stadium. Like, I know it's cool, you get to see the best players in the NFL, but it's just not real football. So yeah, I'm definitely not a big fan of the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that I will ever waste my time on. And like you said, if the Niners are in the Super Bowl, then we definitely ain't watching a Pro Bowl.
Right.
Real quick shout out to the chat. Bang Bang Niner Gang. I'm not going to say your YouTube name, but I get your point. Niner Faithful, how's it going? I saw you in the chat with me and Rob. Thanks for popping in here for however long you stay. Blue True, what can I say, man? $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words for me and Jay. I appreciate you guys, man. This YouTube thing is not anything without the people that we talk to and interact with and, try to answer the questions because, some of us aren't professionals, so we try to answer your questions the best that we can. So if we entertain you, that's all we're here to do. So thank you very much. So quick thoughts on the Super Bowl. What's your are you gonna watch it?
Absolutely.
Are you gonna root for anybody? Because you kind of know where I'm gonna root for.
Yeah, I'm absolutely watching the Super Bowl. It's the last game, obviously, of the season for 6 months. So it's going to be a long time until we see some football. Hopefully we see a competitive game back and forth. I'd love to see a high scoring game like in the 30s. But of course, I'm rooting for them good old Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, the last time they were in the Super Bowl, we beat them in the 80s. So
that's right.
It's been a long time coming for this franchise. They have a nice young core. They got Burrow, the quarterback. They got weapons, the receivers, the running back. They actually have a pretty good defense. We know we played them in the regular season. So I'm definitely rooting for the Bengals. I think the Rams may have a slight edge because I think the Bengals offensive line is iffy at best. And the Rams, we know they have a pretty good defensive front. So if the Rams can get home and make Burrow uncomfortable, I think the Rams could win, but I'm hoping that the Bengals will win.
I think a lot of the country is going for the Bengals. Just off the top of my head, they haven't been there in a long time.
Right.
Hell, my intro that I put on my channel right before we came on was from Super Bowl 23, which was in 1989.
Yeah.
From the 88 season. So listen, I was 9 years old the last time the Bengals were in the Super Bowl. I'm 42. It's due. They're due. The Rams, we're 49er fans, so of course we're not. I mean, sometimes you want the team that beat you to win the Super Bowl so you can say, hey, we lost to the eventual world champ here. Yeah. But listen, man, I feel we just do things the right way with the way we build our team. I'm just not a fan of the whole like super team thing, like, basketball. I don't respect it. I'm not saying that you can't build your team that way and you can do whatever you want. It's your franchise. I want to see the Bengals win. Right. One thing too, is I thought the Bengals would have been a good matchup for us. I think the Chiefs is definitely a matchup that does not favor us. So it's sad that we couldn't be there, but like I said, the better team made it. So mazel tov to both of them. I hope it's a healthy game. Nobody gets hurt. But in the end, I want to see that team from Cincinnati. I have an old coworker who I work with. She's been a Bengals fan since before I was alive. So
Wow.
I think it's time, man. I mean, she's I told her I told her, I was like, we gotta for you, the fact that you've been a fan so long, they gotta win it. So
exactly. Hopefully they pull it out.
yeah, it's one of those things too with the Super Bowl. It's neither team is our team, so I mean, in the end, if the Rams win, it's not really. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
It's weird, Jay. Like I watched the Super Bowl when we were in it, and I didn't enjoy myself at all because I was so wrapped up in us, with the Chiefs, and then we ended up losing, and it was just very miserable experience because, when your team's in a Super Bowl, it's hard to really have fun because you're so like, at least for my personality. But the fact that it's not our teams in the Super Bowl, I'm gonna relax, have a good time, eat some chicken wings, pizza, and stuff. So
absolutely, and watch the good commercials.
Yeah, like the Beavis and Butthead one last year.
Yeah,
I had a childhood friend that I've known since he was 9 years old, and that Beavis and Butthead commercial came on. He didn't know about it, even though it had been on YouTube. And my phone was blowing up. He's like, "Oh my God, I instantly thought of you, Aaron," because I was obsessed with Beavis and Butthead as a kid. So yeah, that was good.
I played the video game too, so I can relate. I played the video game on Sega. So
oh, that's crazy. Niner Faithful says, "Let's go Bengals. I want my older brother to be happy his team is relevant again." Very true, very true. John says, watching the Super Bowl for the commercials, French vanilla, Rocky Road, chocolate, peanut butter, cookie. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I remember that commercial. Yeah,
that was fantastic. That's a great commercial. For people who didn't grow up during that era, they're like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
For me, it was like, something after my own heart. It took me back to my 11 and 12, when I was 11 or 12 years old. Niner Faithful, can you see us getting a third or second? Getting a third or second, and the Joe Hayden from Pittsburgh for Jimmy. He's a decent corner from the film I've watched on him. I don't know. That's one of my topics. I guess we could talk about it now. Is the compensation for Jimmy? I was on with Rob, and Rob talked with other guys like Jackhammer and stuff, and everybody's kind of coming to the same conclusion that it ain't going to be a first rounder. Jesse Naylor was the same. We talked about it. I mean, there will definitely be a haul. If you follow Matt Maiocco, or I'm trying to think of the other guy, Matt Barrows.
Yeah,
both of them kind of talked about how the trade last year with like guys like I'm trying to think of the dude from the Jets who got traded to Carolina. You know who I'm talking about.
He was with the Patriots, the corner?
No, the quarterback from the Jets that was traded to the Panthers.
Matt Barkley?
We're close. We know who I'm talking about, the number one draft pick. Anyways, point being,
Sam Darnold. Yeah.
There was a pretty good haul for him. So the fact of the matter is, Jimmy we might get somewhere in the realm of a 2 and a 4 or a 2 and a third, and I would be totally fine with either of those. It's weird, man, because like a lot of people were saying Jimmy didn't have a lot of value, and as the season kind of played out, I think he definitely upped his value. But with his play in the playoffs, his value kind of dipped again. What is your thoughts on these teams that are possibly that could go after him, like a Pittsburgh or a Washington Commanders? What's your thought on that, and what kind of draft haul do you think the Niners could get?
We could definitely get a first-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. Have people not watched him before? We could definitely get a first-round pick for Jimmy. I'm going to be optimistic about this because if you look at Jimmy's record, he can win games. We know he's not the best statistically. We know he's not going to throw for 350 yards and 5 touchdowns a game. We know that. But this offseason is great for the 49ers to unload Jimmy. Why? It's all about supply and demand. After Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, who's the next best quarterback that's going to be available on the market? I could argue that it's going to be Jimmy G. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 NFC championship games. And if you look at Pittsburgh, they need a quarterback. Tampa Bay, New York Giants, New Orleans Saints, Denver Broncos. Those are 5 teams that could use an upgrade at the quarterback position. And I think it could be, dare I say, a bidding war for Jimmy G. Because especially if those 2 quarterbacks, if Rodgers and Wilson stay at their respective teams, Jimmy G is the the best quarterback on the market. That sounds crazy, right? But I think we could definitely get a first round pick for Jimmy. And if not that, we could get multiple picks, maybe a second and a fourth, or a second and a fifth, maybe a third round pick and a player. The options, there's a plethora of options that we'll see. But for Niner faithful, Joe Hayden, I looked up his contract. He's a free agent this offseason, so we can't trade for him unless he signs with the Steelers and then they trade him. But hopefully, or I would think we would trade Jimmy to an AFC team. I know Pittsburgh, they got a lot of salary cap. Jimmy already has a $25 million cap hit. So I think Pittsburgh makes sense. Maybe Denver. I don't know about their salary cap situation, but we can definitely get at least a second round pick for Jimmy on the low end, and then on the high end, a first round pick.
I want everybody to mark this stream. Monday, February 7th, 2022. Jay says we will possibly get a first round pick.
Absolutely.
If that happens, I will find this stream and I will repost this clip. Because I've talked to many. Oh, go ahead.
One more thing. Also, there are not a lot of rookie quarterbacks coming out who are highly touted.
Right.
This isn't last year's draft where you had like 5 quarterbacks go in the top 15. That's definitely not going to happen this year. A lot of mock drafts, there's like 1, maybe 2 quarterbacks going in the first round. So I think that ups the value for Jimmy G.
Yeah, I think you're right. Right now, it's just a matter of like, with me, it's like this. The Niners make their way in the mid rounds anyways. Which is why hopefully we don't have to worry about Adam Peters moving on. I think keeping him is a huge thing, especially with the question out there of whether John's going to stay on with us. I don't know if you saw the end of the year press conference where he said right now he's a GM or right now he's here and all that stuff. And I was just like, that's kind of unsettling. I definitely would like to see someone like Peters get a promotion to possibly GM. I think he has a lot more to do with the mid-round stuff than we give him credit for. I was talking yesterday with my nephew because I was talking to him about how, if you look at the Niners, I said to my nephew, I says, a lot of the guys we got, everybody's drafted, man. A lot of our stars are all drafted. They're not free agent pickups other than like Trent Williams, right?
Yeah.
And you look at like a Dray Greenlaw, I think Azeez Al-Shaair was an undrafted free agent, possibly.
Yeah.
Jawan Jennings, freaking a seventh round pick. Like those type of guys in the front office matter. So, I'm actually more excited when the Niners don't have first round picks because for some reason, other than Bosa and I'm trying to think who else, other than Bosa and I guess Ayuk was a slam dunk, but the Niners just have a hard time really in the first round.
I think their first draft was terrible. First round, it was Reuben Foster, Solomon Thomas. That was terrible. But in the back end of that draft, we drafted DJ Jones, 6th round pick, and he's going to be a free agent this offseason. I don't know how you feel about DJ Jones.
I love DJ.
He only made about $2.5 million this season. He could easily, maybe we'll see. But his market value could be anywhere between $5 to $8 million per year. I don't know if we should pay DJ Jones that amount, but we'll see. He's definitely played one of his better seasons with the 49ers, but he's definitely earned a significant upgrade in salary. That's for sure.
We got John in the comments here who says, in order, I think Jimmy goes either Steelers, Commanders, Broncos, Bucks, Saints, Panthers. And he's going to have some suitors. As long as he's not in the same I guess you guys are going to hate me, but it really doesn't matter to me.
I agree.
I don't sweat him, honestly. I'm not going to lie. Listen, I'm honest. Listen, man, I don't hate any man who plays football in the NFL. I'm just, as a player, he was, he did what he did and he served a purpose for this franchise, but my opinion is I think the Niners made the right choice by drafting Trey Lance last year, and I think it's going to suit them in the future. So, like I said, mazel tov to him, but I really don't care where he goes as long as he's healthy and he goes to a team that is in a good, contention or as a good roster, because I think he deserves that. I don't think you should just send him to like Siberia I don't think he deserves that whatsoever, but we'll see.
Hey, Jimmy, you gotta love Jimmy. I know a lot of people you either love or you hate Jimmy or you're in the middle, but you definitely can't question Jimmy's character. It seems like he's a stand-up guy. He's very likable, and I hope he goes to a situation that will be successful for him. But that's not the general manager John Lynch's responsibility. He's supposed to get the most compensation he can get for Jimmy. It doesn't matter if he sends him to, I don't know, the Jets or whatever, or, one of the worst teams in the NFL. It doesn't matter. But I think those are the teams who will probably be interested in Jimmy. And at the end of the day, we got to get the most compensation. And someone in the chat said, yes, a first round pick, it matters, but it doesn't, because we've gotten a lot of our talent in the later to mid rounds, like you said. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if we could fetch a first round, but we'll see what happens. As we get to draft day, or if we unload him during free agency, we'll see.
The Niners have a lot of positions to fill. They're going to only have about, 30 some odd players under contract. And they need to make it to 90. So the draft might be very important this year for the Niners to kind of rebolster their depth. They might have to let certain guys walk. One topic that I really think we should get into right now is the free agency, our free agents, guys who you would prioritize to come back next year. If I was going to go with any priority, my number one guy would be Laken Tomlinson. I think we got to lock him up. I think it's important to keep as much cohesion in that line as possible, considering the right side of that line needs some serious work. So if we can actually lock down the left side and Mac comes back, hopefully he's healthy and plays well next year for us, because it's a 3-year deal, I think, for Alex Mack. So he'll be here unless he decides to retire. But I think Laken Tomlinson is important. DJ Jones, to me, is also important. I think he had a really good year, and I think we need to pay him. Nothing that breaks the bank, or so to speak. And then after that, it's kind of touch and go with some other players. There's guys that are going to be free agents that are injury prone that I just don't think the Niners should spend the money on unless they come back on something team friendly, because the Niners need to start kind of moving past those kind of guys. No hate or disrespect on guys like Verrett or Mostert, but it is what it is. You are what you are and what you've shown. And so, you come back for a team friendly deal, something injury incentive, and you can meet those incentives, and that's how it should go. What do you think about the players, and what other players do you think that the Niners that I didn't mention that should stay on this team going into next year?
Let me pull up the free agency list and see, but I completely agree with you about Laken Tomlinson. We have to continue that left side of the offensive line being, the best side of the offensive line. And I think him and Trent Williams are a great tandem. We traded for Laken Tomlinson in 2017. That was one of John Lynch's first trades, and that was a steal of a trade.
Yes.
Taking him from Detroit. We definitely have to reward Laken Tomlinson, because I want to say he's played every game and started every game for us on the left side of the offensive line.
Never hurt.
Spot. He's never hurt. So
which is something for us.
Yeah, you definitely got to reward him. I'm going to say, I know you feel this way about moving on from injury prone players, but the Niners, they love to bargain shop. They love to do that. And Raheem Mostert, he's a fan favorite. He definitely is faster than Mitchell. He hits the hole much faster than Mitchell does. I would love to bring Mostert back. He won't be the starter. I would just tell him that up front. You're not going to start. Mitchell will probably be the starter. But I think if he can carry the ball 5 to 8 times a game, I think that would do wonders for this offense. And it would be not a veteran minimum, but he wouldn't be signing big money. I mean, it would just be an incentive-laden contract. You got to meet certain metrics to really accelerate the dollars in the contract, but it would definitely be a team-friendly deal. And I would say the same with cornerback Jason Verrett. He played his best year with the 49ers. It was unfortunate he tore his ACL last year, but I would take him on a 1-year vet minimum deal. I would not project him to be the starter. And some people would say this year that was the problem. We're relying on Jason Verrett to be a starter. I think next year I don't anticipate the Niners bringing in any big time free agents. I don't think J.C. Jackson, who's projected to make upwards of 15 mil per year as a corner, I don't think the Niners will do that. So I think it's going to be Ambry Thomas, Emmanuel Mosley. You got Lenore, and basically everyone else is a free agent. So hey, let's bring Verrett. Maybe he could be the fourth best corner. And if he plays his cards right, maybe he could play the slot, or maybe if one of the two top corners get hurt, maybe Verrett could fill in there. Just don't put all your eggs in one basket with Verrett. That's what I would suggest.
God's Hammer says we should re-sign Spoon. Now, I think that ship has sailed.
Spoon?
I'm not a big, but I think he's a little bit of hot and cold. I think he's mentally soft. I think he's one of those people that can get affected by things that happen to him during a game, and he's unable to kind of get himself out of it. So, no, like I said, no hate towards him. I think we've been down that road.
Arden Key. What do you think about Arden Key?
Yeah, Arden Key is one. Jaquaski Tart, K'Wan Williams. If I had to sign anybody out of those three, Jay, I'd probably sign Arden Key, and I would let K'Wan and Jaquaski both walk.
Yeah, I would definitely let K'Wan walk. He's on the wrong side of 30. This wasn't really his best season. I wouldn't say one of his worst, but definitely not one of his best, especially in a contract year. So I would let K'Wan walk, especially you got Lenore, and hopefully he can take over or at least start to work toward that slot corner, because that's definitely what we'll need if K'Wan's gone. Jaquiski Tart, he's a savvy vet. Yeah, he screwed up in the game, but do we really want Hufanga to start in his place? Do we think Hufanga's ready? I don't think so. So I think we bring in Tart, and maybe I think in the draft we should definitely get a safety, because Jimmy Ward I think will be a free agent next year. He'll be on the wrong side of 30. We'll probably have to upgrade the safety position. So I think we bring Tart if he's willing to come back on a 1-year deal with minimal money, not breaking the bank. I'll be down with that.
Yeah, the Niners are going to have some tough choices, because I was I said I was on earlier with Rob, and he shared some stuff from, I don't know what site it was, but it was a lot of cap related things. And Niners don't have a lot of cap money. They just do not have a lot of cap money. They have the Bosa and Debo contracts, they said, already figured into their financials, from what John Lynch said in the post final game press conference, whatever you call it, end of the year. So I think priority number one above anything is getting what you can for Jimmy, and doing what you can to get Debo signed before training camp. I think Debo Samuel, if one player deserves this to be paid and to be rewarded for what he does for this team, and who I felt seriously heartbroken for and almost in tears watching the clip, because he damn well deserved to win a Super Bowl. If anyone deserved it, it was him. And I was hard on him when he first came here, because I am with guys that get injured all the time. I have no sympathy, and maybe I'm a jerk for that, but my first jersey purchase next year, as soon as they make that contract go to that ink dries, is a Debo jersey.
Yeah.
I usually don't buy receiver jerseys, and I usually don't buy quarterback jerseys. So if Debo signs, I'm getting that. And if Trey starts playing really well, if Trey leads us to a playoff win or a Super Bowl, I'm getting a quarterback jersey. I got a Kaepernick. Yeah, I got to get. Yeah, exactly. What is it? What's the song? I got 5 on it, or whatever.
5 on it.
That's great. So
I got a question for you.
Sure.
If DJ Jones, let's say he and his representation say, "Hey, I want 8 to 10 mil per year," are you signing up for that with DJ Jones? That's too much. Yeah.
They got Contavious Street. They got Givens.
There's more depth in that.
They got Kinlaw coming back.
Hurt a lot of the year. I probably wouldn't bring him back, Maurice Hurst, but there's depth, and we could also draft another defensive tackle. But I think, as you said, priority number one is Laken Tomlinson. We got to bring him back.
Yeah, it's I'm not super big on Kinlaw, to be honest with you.
We need him. I mean,
we need him.
He's kind of an interesting pick. He's got to perform.
Yeah, and my buddy here, I don't know how to say his name. Juicy Baby, I think it is, 68.
Yeah.
He says Jones gets hurt. That is true. There is that about DJ Jones. As much as I love DJ, he does tend to get nicked up, especially late in the year. He has a hard time finishing the season, but We will see. God's Hammer, I'm going to think he's referring to Akella Witherspoon. He definitely gets burned all the time. Possibly. I don't know. But yeah, he definitely had some problems when he was here. I just think once you move on from somebody, it's just it's like a relationship with a girl that didn't work out. Just move on, man.
Yeah.
Kick that thing down the road and never deal with it again. With me, the free agency is going to be less about us going and signing anybody, Jay. I think it's more about bringing our own guys back. Maybe getting a depth piece here or there, but I think a lot of the draft, I mean, if we can get a haul for Jimmy, when I say a haul, maybe like 2 picks.
Right.
On top of what we already have, I think we have 10 picks overall. There's a couple different people that have our picks laid out. And one of the things that they made abundantly clear is we don't have a comp pick this year for the Salah move because that pick actually went for the Trey Lance trade. So we have our own 3rd rounder this year on top of the one that we're getting from McDaniels because he is a minority hire, which I had no idea until I saw a picture of his mom and daddy. And I was like, okay, I'm not,
you,
I know I'm not.
You and everyone else.
I didn't know.
No one knew. No one knew. Yeah. No one had any idea.
So, it's cool that the league rewards teams for that.
Absolutely.
It's kind of a weird thing though.
You have to, because if you don't, minority candidates don't get interviews. I mean, we've
you almost have to incentivize teams doing stuff. That's still lame to me.
It's sad. It's
still
lame. It's wrong, but that's where the NFL is at. I mean, even when minority candidates do get interviews,
I think
not legit interviews.
No, they're not. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole and get into anything political or set off any people, because I know some people get gaslit on online and will start leaving the channel or attacking me or you. When you hear about an interview with John Elway and John Elway being drunk, that means he don't take the dude seriously, and he could give a rat's behind. And the guy's coming in and you listen, I'm a white dude. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff, but I see it. Okay. I've been around 42 years on this planet. I see stuff. Yeah. It's obvious. So I know we're going off topic, but it's sad that the league has to incentivize teams hiring minority candidates and then letting them go. It's to me, that's lame. Yeah. Hopefully they do away with that eventually in a way. I know it's cool now that we get the picks and it's like, yeah, we get this guy, but when you see where it comes from, it kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's unfortunate. That's just how it is. You hope the owners would do the right thing. And I don't think anyone's telling the owners who to hire. Just make the interview process fair. And I know there have been a lot of minority coaches who have been hired. You look at Mike Tomlin. He's kind of the anomaly where he's been there for
he's a really good coach, bro.
Yeah, he is. He's a really good coach. And he also had been Big Ben. So
and my brother made a good point about the Steelers too. I know we're going all over the place.
They've got 3 coaches, right?
Well, they've had like 3 coaches, but listen, they've been good for like 20 years. Yes. They are always good. One of their guys that was in charge of their draft just retired. Say what you want about the Steelers, but they're in it or close to being in it every single season. They are really good at drafting. When do the Steelers ever pay a lot in free agency for a player? Never. They build through the draft. So, like, you
look at their wide receivers, they're usually always drafted.
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster.
AB, the wide receivers they have now, they're always drafted.
Yeah.
They do a great job in the draft. Great job.
That's why I'm all about building teams through the draft. But, that's just me. My boy Luke Luna, how you doing, man? He says, I want to keep the safety tandem in Tart and Ward together, but Lenore at nickel if Shark wants too much, and bring in a solid, affordable vet at cornerback and drop depth at both those positions to help the cap later. I agree with Luke 100% on all of that. I would like to keep Tart and Ward together. It's just the finances this year with the 2 deals coming up and the Niners not having a ton of cap space. The thing is, when you have a team with good players, eventually everybody needs to get paid.
Yep.
And do you want a team that sucks all day? in every year and we have $80 million in cap space? Or would you run a team that has $5 million in cap space, but has like 7 or 8 all pros and the team is in constant playoff contention? I'll take the latter.
Yeah.
God's Hammer says we need the sauce from Cincinnati. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to, I guess he wants Cincinnati to win.
I've got a question for you. Who do you think will be the 49ers backup quarterback? Are you sold on Sudfeld, or do you think they'll bring in another quarterback?
I think a lot of people are putting this thing together, and I'm kind of okay with it. But a lot of people are saying Tyrod Taylor might be the Niners backup with Anthony Lynn coming on board. Anthony Lynn dealt with the whole rookie quarterback, and Tyrod was a good player for him, and Tyrod's a good dude. And he's a tough guy too. I think he played with like a punctured, I don't know what the heck he played with, but he was hurt. So yeah, I could see and Tyrod is also a mobile guy that can move around. I think the Niners, you're going to go for a backup, have a backup that's kind of similar to your starter so that the whole team doesn't have to adjust completely. I think it would be a good move. He's a veteran. If, he misses any time, Trey Lance, you have a guy that's won games in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills. Me being from Bills country, I know all about Tyrod Taylor. Yeah. Why not? I wouldn't be at all have a problem with that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Tyrod would be a great backup. He was with Anthony Lynn, who was the head coach of the Chargers. Tyrod Taylor was his starting quarterback, for maybe a game or less or so. But yeah, I think Tyrod Taylor will be great there. Also, I really like Marcus Mariota. I'm not sure if he's a free agent this year, but I would like to have him. That would be but it all depends on how much money do the 49ers want to allocate to the backup quarterback position, because right now we've only got $5 million in cap space, and after the Jimmy G trade, it's going to increase. And I don't know about you, but D Ford, I think he might be on the team again this year. Looking at his contract, basically, if we cut him, we're going to owe him, I believe, $5 million at least.
And we get
it depends if
we save healthy. Like $2 million.
Right. So I don't think the Niners want to have a $5 million cap hit, on their salary cap. So I would imagine that if D Ford is healthy, he'll be on the team. If he's not, if he can't pass a physical, then I guess we would settle for the injury settlement, I guess. But I'm not even sure how much the injury settlement is. But that's something I have to look up. But going back to the backup quarterback, there's Mitchell Trubisky, there's Joe Flacco. I mean, and I say Joe Flacco, I'm not expecting him to play. Let's be real. We're not expecting our backup quarterback to win half of the season or 8 games. If that's the case, I don't know many teams that will have Joe Flacco or Mitchell Trubisky or any backup quarterback be successful in 8 games. We need them to come in 1 game or 2 games if Trey Lance just so happens to get hurt. But there's a lot of options out there. Jameis Winston, who knows if he'll go back to the New Orleans Saints. I know he got hurt. But there's a lot of options.
What
out
about
there.
Fitzpatrick? Is he a free agent, or is he?
He should be. He should be. Yeah.
I am a big Fitzpatrick guy.
Yeah,
Fitzmagic. He's good in small doses.
Right.
He gets kind of exposed when he's out there all the time.
Right.
But I wish the Niners, when people were saying we should have moved on from Jimmy, that was one guy. If we would have traded away Jimmy in the offseason, that the Niners could have brought in that could have, been a spot starter for a while. If they decided to go the Trey Lance route, but they never were going to. So
Shanahan really likes Andy Dalton.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a ginger and I'm a ginger, so I automatically would like him. Because us gingers got to stick together because we don't have souls. I just want to drop in Luke Luna real quick. He says, if there's a vet corner out there that we bring in, do you think who do you think it would want it to be? Realistically, no Jackson, Gilmore takes. My guys from Denver, someone like that. Yeah. Is it Harris, the guy that's from Denver? I forget his name.
I'm not sure. He's a free agent for the Denver Broncos right now?
I think so.
Let's see. I'm going to look it up real quick. Let's see.
Luke, you have stumped us. Damn it, Luke, always making us do work and stuff on.
Well, Chris Harris, but he plays for the Chargers, but he will be a free agent. There's a lot of veteran free agent corners on the market.
We kind of talked about this, Luke. We talked about maybe Verrett on a minimum deal. I'm not the biggest fan of Rhett just because of his injury history, but if you're not bringing him in for a starting role and he's here just for the inevitable, one guy misses a game type thing, then I would definitely stick with him. I think the Niners need to go with the youth movement in their secondary. I think that Diamondor Lenore needs to go take over that slot corner position. He's young. That's kind of what he's built for anyways. I think Ambry Thomas is ascending. As much as he kind of struggled a little bit against the Rams, I mean, I think anybody's going to struggle against them. We weren't getting any pass rush in that game, so I don't care if you had Deion Sanders out there at corner covering Cooper Kupp. Dude was going to catch passes. So
there's Kyle Fuller. He's a cornerback.
He used to play for the Bears.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Kyle Fuller a couple years ago. I wouldn't mind. Like I said, you're not bringing these dudes in to be starters. You're bringing them in to be a depth piece.
Right.
You got to reward guys that have been here. I mean, how many of us crapped on this draft class when this year first started? I was one of them. I thought we sucked in the draft. Sometimes you got to give guys a couple years. Like I think Trey Sermon, people are sleeping on him. I think next year Trey Sermon is gonna prove a lot of people wrong.
I hope so.
That's just my personal opinion. I've been known to be wrong before, but I'm trying to be more positive. I talked to my therapist today all about living in the now, focusing on the good. So you're going to see maybe a slightly more positive Aaron in 2022 with the season coming. So I'm still negative and stuff, but I'm going to try to keep it to a bare minimum.
In regards to Trey Sermon, I mean, it just seemed like he fell out of favor. He wasn't really given an opportunity. And when he did, he got the concussion, I believe, the second game he played in.
Dirty hit, too.
Yeah. Ooh. And it just seemed like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when there's a hot hand at the running back position, Kyle Shanahan, he can't help himself. He only likes to run the ball with Mitchell and Debo.
And that's a problem.
It's
a problem.
Yeah. I don't get it.
That's how you shorten careers. And when asked about it, he says he is not going to change his approach with Debo at all.
I think that's the problem. He's going to be one of the highest paid wide receivers, and you're going to have him running the ball 8 to 10 times a game. Like, I mean, he's only going to end up hurt.
Switching gears over to coaching. We all know about Hightower leaving. We lost John Embry, the tight ends coach. The Niners pretty much asked him to if he wanted to stay, he had to take a pay cut.
Right.
I don't think he was under contract. He told the Niners to kick rocks.
Yeah. 60% pay cut at that.
Yeah. Because I think the Niners had a plan all along to bring in a guy like Anthony Lynn. Hightower took a job with the Chicago Bears, which kind of saved face for the 49ers because listen, man, 1 or 2 games in the playoffs is not going to do away a whole season of just ineptitude on special teams. What's your opinion on that?
No, I agree, but I agree that the special teams unit was one of the weakest units on this team throughout the majority of the season, but you can't knock him. He left on a high note, right? I mean,
right.
That game against Green Bay, we wouldn't have been able to play in the NFC Championship game without our special teams unit. So, clearly he was sought after by Chicago as an experienced guy, and hopefully he learned from this situation, and hopefully he'll be even better with Chicago.
Brian Culp in the comments. I'm going to put your comment up here because you got some information for us. It says, according to Over the Cap, Ford is scheduled to earn $11.9 million in 2022. If the 49ers were to cut Ford with an injury settlement, they'd save over $2 million in cap space against $9.8 million.
So he's on the team. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. No. One of the worst moves this franchise has made in a really, really long time. You know, for all the good we can say about John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, some of their early moves, man, their first couple years, pretty bad. I mean, drafting Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, even the dude we signed from Tampa that take over for Foster, he was a injury prone.
Quan Alexander,
yeah, it's just
swing and miss.
I mean, that's the sport we live in, that's the sport we love. That's kind of how it is. It's not like the 80s, where the 49ers pretty much kept the same team all the time and never had to worry about a salary cap. It's just not the same anymore.
Yeah. Question for you. Do you think the Niners should trade Dray Greenlaw?
I've been open to that possibility. I think Dray Greenlaw, I think Azeez Al-Shaair is kind of taken over that position. I think he's a better player. Personally, I mean, I have the NFL Sunday Ticket. I watch every game, and he brings a different physicality to the game. He's a really good tackler. I mean, everybody misses tackles. His PFF grades weren't that good early in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would see if the Niners have any value, if Dray Greenlaw has any value, yeah. I don't, when I say send him packing, I mean it in a respectful way. Send him packing. Hopefully you get a pick in return.
Yeah.
I would draft another linebacker for sure. I like Flanagan Foles, but I don't think, you want him as your number 3 linebacker, especially when you go base defense.
Right.
So yeah, if Greenlaw can net you something, I would definitely, again, another pick, another way to build and, pad that roster with guys that'll take over in the future. It's almost like baseball teams that have a really good farm system, especially with pitchers or hitters or whatever. It's like every so many years, they just bring up a new player, or they have that guy that they can use in a trade because they replenish that farm system. The Niners, when they hit on those young pieces, it's really, to me, it is like a farm system. You got your starters, and then you got your young guys who are almost like learning in the background. Eventually, you're going to take over. I'm glad that Amber, you got a chance to play this year. I mean, he struggled in the beginning, but he was going against some of the best players out there on the field. I mean, AJ Brown, come on. He struggled, but I think he's going to be better for it. So yeah, I'm big on the rookies and draft picks. So yeah, if you can get something for him, I'd be down with it. What do you think?
Yeah, God's Hammer says he's still on his rookie contract. That is correct. But, we already broke the bank for Fred Warner.
Right.
Azeez, he is a free agent. I believe he's going to be re-signed. So do you really want to sign 3 linebackers? Dray Greenlaw is going to want an increase in his pay. But unfortunately for this season, for him, Azeez really outperformed him. Greenlaw only really touched the field in the regular season, I think 2 times, maybe 3 times at most, unfortunately due to his injuries. But if we're not going to re-sign Dray Greenlaw, we might as well try to get some for him in the offseason. I think that makes most sense. But there's no doubt when Greenlaw was on the field, he was a difference maker. I love the intensity he brought.
A little bit of a hothead.
A little bit. Sometimes he played past the whistle and he garnered some flags. But man, there's no doubt Greenlaw. He is. I like the 3 linebackers, but
me too.
It doesn't make sense to pay all 3. I don't think you usually do that. You don't reward all 3 linebackers with extensions because you can draft another linebacker, develop him like we did with Azeez and Fred. And then you have control over that player for at least 3 to 4 years, depending upon where you draft him. So it just makes sense.
I think the Niners, I have faith in. Man out. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
No, I was just going to say Greenlaw, he's the odd man out.
Yeah, and I think the Niners have proven that they can develop linebackers on this team. I mean, Jonas Griffith that we lost in the trade in the preseason, man, I wanted us to keep him.
Yeah.
He was a beast in the preseason. I'm like, really? We're keeping Flanagan Foles over that dude?
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't keep them all. But yeah, I have a lot of confidence in this Niners staff to develop their draft picks for the most part. Aaron Banks is still a question. As is some players that have been drafted by the 49ers that have worked out, but that's like every franchise.
Yeah.
The draft is go ahead.
I was going to say, not all the rookies will hit the ground and running, but Banks, I don't know about you, but Banks has to start at right guard. He has to. He's a 2nd round pick. You got to get the most out of him. I know Brunskill is a free agent. Do you let Brunskill walk you don't want to hand Banks the job, but you kind of got to hand him the job because you drafted him so high. He's got to be on the field. He's got to be your right guard starter week 1. I don't see any other way around it.
Yeah, we need to improve that center to right tackle position from center out. That's been our weakness. It was our weakness in the 2019 Super Bowl when Chris Jones from the Chiefs was just dominating that game. So Niners, one thing about the Niners that frustrates me sometimes is sometimes things are right in front of their face, moves that they need to make, and they're just so set in their ways, especially Kyle Shanahan, that it's like almost to spite us. They won't. It's like, bro, you need to invest maybe in your corners. Nope, not going to do it. It's all about the pass rush. I don't know. Brunskill kind of sucks. This guy kind of sucks. No, we're going to keep him, instead of, maybe investing in, I don't know. It just, sometimes they cut off their nose to spite their face.
Yeah.
I don't know. So McGlinchey is a question mark for sure. Thank you, God's Hammer, for bringing that up.
Yeah.
He might not ever play again. I hope he does. I'm not the biggest McFloppy fan. But he's the best option they have at right tackle, and right tackles don't grow on trees. So,
he's got 1 year left, so you might as well ride it out. It's only $10 million, and as you mentioned, he is the best right tackle. Let me run this by you. I would love to see Trey Lance get his Jeff Saturday. What's good? I mean, the dream. How you doing, man? I would love to see Trey Lance get his Jeff Saturday. Like Peyton Manning had Jeff Saturday. They were there for years, won a Super Bowl together. Trey Lance needs his Jeff Saturday. So hopefully the Niners will invest in a center. Hopefully Alex Mack stays. I know he contemplated retirement. Hopefully he stays at least one more year. We draft a center. That center can be Alex Mack's buddy for the next year, learn behind him, and then he'll be ready to go with Trey, and hopefully they can have a fruitful career together for at least a decade, because we got to, like you said, we have to invest in this offensive line. Hopefully we resign Lincoln, but hopefully we draft a center in this year's draft. I don't care where you draft him, but just bring on a center, because Brunskill, he's a free agent. Compton's a free agent. I don't know about you. I mean, I think they played well in spurts. They played well, but when you really needed them to play, kind of like Jimmy, you really needed them. Unfortunately, they couldn't come through, and we have to get better in those areas. But I don't see the Niners in free agency signing any big name offensive liner. I don't see it.
God's Hammer, I was just going to touch on this. I'm going to touch on Luke's comment first. He says, I agree that they draft the right way and they're trying to build slowly. This is a masterpiece, not a quick print that looks good for a year. True. That's why, I mean, I'm not crapping on the Rams. They're in the Super Bowl. They were in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So, I mean, whatever way you do it, I just feel like for things to last a long time, for you to be constantly competitive, I feel like you got to draft well.
Yeah.
So I agree with Luke 100%. God's Hammer says we need to draft cornerback, safety, O-line, and linebacker. For me, the needs the Niners need to address this offseason: offensive line, corner, and another edge rusher. Those are the three focuses that we need to focus on. We need help with Bosa. Arden Key's good. Samson Ebukam is good. But I'm talking like another, I heard somebody say, hey, take a flyer on a guy like JPP. He's kind of old. Jay's not really enthusiastic about it. And the more I think about it, I'm not really either. I thought about it watching the playoff game. Like somebody made a comment and I was like, yeah, it wouldn't be a bad move. And now I'm like, nah, not really. He's a little over the hill, but we'll see. Yeah. But those are kind of like my three areas of concern. What about you?
Let's see. I would say we haven't really talked about this position. I would say tight end.
Yeah, that's definitely something position. I think. Right.
After Kittle, I mean, Warner, he's okay, but hopefully we draft a tight end in this year's draft. And it's hard to tell what our needs will be in draft because free agency is before the draft. We don't know what signings the Niners will make in the free agency, but definitely my draft needs are tight end, center, linebacker, running back, and cornerback for me. That's what I think the needs are for the team. And I know there's some good tight ends coming out this year. Hopefully the Niners snag one. And I would love to get another guard, but we're going to re-sign Lincoln, hopefully. Aaron Banks, he has to work out at right guard. I don't think the Niners will really go in that area, but we need some more depth behind Kittle. We know he's going to get hurt. We know
Kittle's interesting because a lot of people are saying the Niners need to maybe think about moving on from him soon. And you think about it. Hold on. Let me give you Kittle didn't really do much this year.
We're not using him. We got to use him.
But was it that, or maybe Kittle has lost a step?
No, Kittle showed what he could do. He had double-digit catches in multiple games this year, over 100 receiving yards. Jimmy's just got to make the throw. We don't have to worry about saying that name no more. Now Trey's going to have to get George Kittle involved. Shanahan's actually going to have to input plays. Hey, let's get Kittle the ball here, the same way you do Debo. Get Kittle involved.
Yeah,
I think he's also stepping up.
There's a little bit of. Oh, go ahead. Finish.
He is. I think he's reaching. I think he's 30. I believe Kittle, or is he 29?
He's 28 going on 29. I think.
Yeah, I mean, but I think we keep Kittle. We just got to use him. Yeah, he's 28 years old, but yeah, we just got to use Kittle. He's proven he can. I mean, he almost had 1,000 yards receiving this year, I believe. So he's still one of the best tight ends, but you just got to utilize him. He needs to be. If Debo's going to be running the ball, which I don't agree with, especially next year, you gotta target Kittle, Jennings, and IU. Like those got to be the three guys.
I'm bullish on Jennings, man. I want to see him grow even more.
Yeah,
I mean, he's kind of slow and everything, but man, he is clutch when you need a catch. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely, and Kittle he had 910 yards receiving, 71 catches, and 6 touchdowns. And for Kittle, that's like a C year for Kittle, right? He could easily be 1,500 receiving yards, close to 100 catches a year, but we just have to make him a focal point in the offense. And I don't think Shanahan does for whatever reason.
Luke Luna made a good point. He can't catch when you're blocking.
Hey,
I agree.
Great point, man. Yeah.
And you got to fix that offensive line so that you don't have to have your freaking tight end in there all the time. It's irritating.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I just put it out there because I've thought about it a little bit because, he is hurt quite a bit. But like you said, it's one of those things like Gronk or certain players. It's like you're just going to accept that they're going to miss 3 or 4 games a year, but you're going to get hellish production out of them when they're on the field. So, I'm not saying get rid of Kittle. I got Kittle jersey that I just got last offseason. So I ain't trying to not wear the jersey anymore. But yeah. That's just sometimes I just like to dangle the carrot to see if anybody bites. Nobody bites.
Absolutely. And if you look at his contract, I don't think it would make any sense for the Niners to move off of him. But I did see that idea floating around. Like, for instance, in 2024, there's a potential out in his contract where basically his dead cap salary situation would only be 4.5. So the Niners could potentially move off of him. They could just cut him in 2024. But Kittle, he's the heart and soul of this team. There's no doubt. And he is the engine that makes this offense go. I know some people will say Debo this year, which there's no doubt. Yeah, Debo took over that role, but Kittle,
right?
You need Kittle, I think. But we just got to use him more in the passing game. I think he can. We know he's a mismatch nightmare. There's no one who can guard him. But we just got to. Trey's going to have to get him the ball.
I wanted to retouch on the Mike McDaniel hiring of the Miami Dolphins. It's my brother's team. I just want to get your opinion on it. I'll say this. My brother is kind of meh on it only because of his franchise and how they're run. Right. He's not a big fan of the Dolphins aura right now with the way that they maybe have handled Brian Flores and that whole situation. He's not real high on them. I told him, I said, if this works, I said, you're going to run a similar offense to the 49ers, so get ready. Right. I think he's extremely intelligent. I think he's the modern offensive play caller that the league needs, and I think the Dolphins are going to be better for it. What's your opinion on that?
Hey, I think well, first I would say I'm happy for the McDaniel family. I mean, it's a head coaching position in the NFL. There's only 32 of those jobs. So definitely glad that he got the opportunity to become a head coach. It's great for the 49ers. We get some draft compensation, and hopefully he just gets what's good, Seahawks Eddie. Hopefully McDaniels just gets a fair shot in South Beach. That's what I'm hoping for. Can he turn that team around with Tua? I don't know about you. I'm not really a huge fan of Tua. He just doesn't do it for me. I don't know if he's a franchise guy, but maybe McDaniels can get the best out of him, and I'm sure McDaniels told the ownership and the GM, hey, I can get the best out of Tua. I'm the man for the job. Because supposedly that was an area of, I would say, a disagreement between Flores and ownership. He didn't want Tua, right? Nope. He didn't want Tua. He wanted Justin Herbert. So I'm sure McDaniels told them, hey, I'm a believer in Tua. I can get the most out of Tua. And the Dolphins, they got a solid defense. They really just need to get that offense going. And I think McDaniel, I think he could do a good job, but obviously he's going to have to prove it. And look, you got McDaniels and Saleh in the same division in AFC.
That's crazy.
East. So
it kind of sucks that every time the Niners are decent, they get completely gutted of coaches and front office guys. It's kind of annoying, but at the same time, it says well about your franchise and stuff. I just want to say, Young Montana, your name reminded me of about the documentary I've been watching. That Joe Montana, it's on Peacock. It's a really good documentary. Anybody who grew up during the 80s and 90s who loved watching Joe Montana, it's an emotional, really well put together. I think I'm on episode 4. I think there's like 6 or 7 episodes. So for any 49er fan who grew up during the 80s who loved Joe Montana, you definitely need to get on Peacock. It's like a $4 subscription. I'm going to cancel it as soon as I'm done watching the documentary, but it's definitely, it's really good.
I was going to say about Shanahan, it's a great problem to have when you're a successful franchise. People love to take what they can, whether it's the offensive coordinator and McDaniels. I'm sure if D'Amico has another great year, he'll be gone next year as well. But this is the Shanahan tree. We're seeing it. I think you would say McVay was part of that tree as well because they were together, I believe.
Yeah, probably more of his dad, like if his daddy's tree, like
right.
If Kyle's dad was the actual tree and Kyle was the leaves,
another branch.
Yeah, like those are just different branches off the daddy. And props to him. Yo, listen, man, Kyle Shanahan pisses me off sometimes with his arrogance and his cockiness, but if we fired him tomorrow,
he would be picked up.
He'd be picked up within like 6 minutes.
He'd have contract offers without even an interview.
So people who trip on him, people tripping on Shanahan need to ease up. Luke Luna says, Aaron, giving these young fans some homework and documentaries to study. Yeah, here's the thing, man. I'm not crapping on younger Niner fans because Amin is really young, Amin the Dream, but he's like aware of the past. Right. Some fans who grew up in, like, say they grew up in the 90s or they were born in the 90s, they have like no perception of like how great this team was. My nephew's kind of that ilk, but it's not his fault. I try to share stuff with the past with him, and he's not really big into watching. And I'm like, how can you not be?
It's history.
But I don't know, man. The Niners have a heritage. That's not the word I'm looking for. They have a storied history that people could say, well, it's the past. You guys haven't done anything. Listen, man, I'd rather have a past that has 5 championships attached to it than a past that has 0, like the Bills. Okay. Yeah. No hating on the Bills, but they ain't got nothing. So
that is incredible.
Niners have 4 Super Bowl appearances. Dude, I watched every single one of them, and I couldn't. I got to get on this one. Yeah, some fans compare Jimmy G to Joe Montana this year.
Wowzers.
No.
Yeah, no.
Jimmy could not hold Joe's jock. And I ain't hating on Jimmy. That's just, come on now.
That's just facts, yeah.
4 Super Bowls, 3 MVPs, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 70% completion percentage of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Brady might be the GOAT, but Montana was the GOAT for a long time until Brady took that. So
absolutely.
If Brady's 1, Montana's 1A. I'm not, like whatever about the Patriots and all their controversy. I mean, Brady's the man, but Joe is damn good. So
I think it's going to be quick. I just want to say it's going to be interesting how the 49ers fill out the rest of this coaching staff because there's no offensive coordinator, at least not yet. We know Shanahan's the brains behind the operation, but I think he will bring in an offensive coordinator. If not, maybe they'll appoint gentleman we just brought over from the Lions and the Chargers. I'm forgetting
him.
I don't know why.
Anthony Lynn.
Anthony Lynn, exactly. Also, we're going to need another special teams coordinator.
They're saying Joe Judge could be a focus. Former Giants head coach. He said he was a really good special teams coach when he was with the Patriots.
Hey,
I think they were like top.
Yeah.
Right. I'm all for adding. For Shanahan to add a guy like Lynn shows growth because Shanahan knows only one way, and one way can get stale. The fact that he's willing to bring in other ideas and add it to his stuff shows that he's growing as a coach. Because
Absolutely.
some coaches would take that as an insult that you brought in somebody who was a former head coach, but it's probably his call. I know they have history back in the day with his daddy.
Right.
So it'd be interesting. One of my last topics I wanted to get to is the refinement of Trey's throwing motion. There was talk in the press conference with Kyle and John that he's working on it with somebody. A lot of people wanted us to hire Pep Hamilton as the offensive coordinator, because I guess he's like some sort of quarterback whisperer, but he ended up signing, I forgot where. So that's not going to be the case. But yeah, Kyle said that he's going to be working on his throwing motion in the offseason. What do you think about that? I think that's great for the kid that he notices that he needs to work on it, and he's okay with doing it.
Yeah, I think that's great that he's definitely working on that. I think that's one of his cons to his game is his throwing motion. And people love to hate about Jimmy, but one thing about Jimmy, he got the ball out quick. And if Trey could have a smooth, quick release like Jimmy, I think it would increase his game significantly, because in college you can have a elongated throwing motion, but in the pros, that 1 second maybe that it took to deliver the ball is all a corner needs to intercept the ball or to block a ball or block a pass. So I'm glad to see that Trey Lance is still working on his game. And it just seems like the young receivers really like Trey Lance. They respect him. They're going to be working out with him as well. Like Ayuk and Debo.
That's awesome.
So that I know that's awesome. The more they work out together, the better. They'll have a better rapport with each other. And it's great to see, Trey Lance continue to work on his game. And are you sold on Rich Scangrello as the quarterback coach?
What he hasn't really been, a lot of people. I thought he was good with quarterbacks back in the day, but you really take a look at him. Who has he really developed? Did Jimmy really develop over his time with the Niners? Not really. Did what's his name? Who was here? We drafted him in the 3rd round. Bethard. Did he really develop? No,
Mullins.
Not really.
I mean, it's
maybe it's the clay that you have to work with. It can only do so much.
You can only do so much, and also, I mean, once the guys get on the field, yeah, you rely on your instincts and you understand what the coach is telling you, but once the guys get on the field, I mean, what else is the quarterback coach supposed to do? I mean, they look at the little iPad. They say, "Hey, that linebacker's right there, Jimmy. Why are you throwing it there?" And Jimmy doesn't make improvements. It's like, what is Scangrello supposed to do? I mean,
right?
He can only do so much. I mean,
the one thing I would say that I agree with young Montana about, the one thing that Jimmy that always bothered me was his lack of his mechanics were bad. They were sloppy. They were loose. Not stepping into throws.
Right.
You can get so much more power. I mean, Joe Montana didn't have a big arm. He had an average arm. But Montana, when he needed to, could thread the needle. Jimmy can make throws that are pretty, but they just were never, like, anything that was ever a big throw always seemed to be high and behind. I don't know what it is. He just has like say what you want about the kid, and he's got some stuff about his game, but he's a young kid. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers had a funky mechanics when he came to the league.
Yeah.
When he first came out of Cal, and those got fixed. So I have no doubt in my mind that this kid can fix his mechanics. When you're in the rush of the game and the stress is happening, that you tend to go back to your old mechanics. But the more and more he works on the same new mechanics, eventually they're going to kick in. The thing with Trey that I just want him to work on really is seeing the field, trusting his what he's seeing, and trying to make throws from the pocket. I like the ad-libbing and moving around, but sometimes it's like, it's almost like it's almost like laziness. It's like, instead of reading the defense, I'm just going to move.
Right.
I was watching Patrick Mahomes in that playoff game, dude. I've never gotten so pissed off watching a game. The constant spinning and turning and spinning. Man, I told my brother, I was like, if I was a freaking Bengals fan, I would have put a hole through the TV. I hate it. It's like backyard football. There's just, So I want the kid to learn to throw from the pocket. Not, don't stop being an athlete. Still do what you got to do if you got to scramble, but throwing from the pocket should be first priority. Moving and scrambling should be second. So hopefully he gets he gets a chance. And Bay Area Baller made a good point. Thanks for popping in here. He said Scangarello only lasted 1 year as OC in Denver. Yeah, I think the bloom is a little bit off the rose on Scangarello, but I mean,
Denver's been a dumpster fire since they won that Super Bowl. I mean, they haven't really been legit at all. But you can't argue with that. But I wanted to say what separates the good from the great players is consistency. And with Jimmy, that was his thing, whether it being health on the field or not stepping into his throws with the poor mechanics. That's definitely something that has been a negative aspect of Jimmy's game. And hopefully Trey, I think Trey, he's not going to be like Lamar Jackson running all over the place. He's not going to be like that. But I love for him to read the field and then maneuver out of the pocket and create more time for his receivers to get open. I think we saw that a little bit in the Texans game, if I recall. He was able to do that. And it was so frustrating to see Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray do that for years. And now we're going to have a quarterback who could actually extend plays and, be able to make more plays and get the ball to his receivers because he can maneuver out of the pocket. And Jimmy, he could a little bit, but of course he's terrible at throwing on the run. So it didn't really benefit him that well to do that. So
he was a statue back there that kind of cratered when people would get around him. And sometimes stepping up and making a throw is all you need to do. And even guys that are not mobile, like Brady, they might not be a scrambler, but they maneuver the pocket.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you watch Jimmy and you're like, move, and he doesn't move and he takes
sometimes he would and sometimes he wouldn't. In the Rams game, it was terrible. I mean, he was running for his life.
That pass protection was horrible in that game.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't blame all on Jimmy. I think I'd give Jimmy 45% blame for that game, and I gave the other rest of it to the other areas of the team. But that's all in the past. Yep. Jay, it's been a blast, man. We beat this thing up. We got more hopefully to do soon. Some news will be dropping. We got a little bit of a down period next couple weeks. But then I'm trying to think. Let's see. Free agency starts for when in March. Free agency
March. I think it's March 16th or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The trade of Jimmy, I'm sure, I mean, there's only so much you can talk about that, but I definitely would love to get on with people once that becomes something. And if he does end up moving and what that means for the 49ers. So things will heat up in a little bit. It's going to be a little bit slow for, a period of time, but if any news drops, you can come to either of our channels. You can go to Jay in the Bay on YouTube. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. His YouTube handle is in my description for his channel. Go check him out. Same thing with me. If you like what you see and hear, drop a like and a subscribe. Same thing with Jay in the Bay. Drop a like and subscribe on Jay in the Bay's channel. I love doing this stuff with Jay because Jay's a good dude, and we have differing opinions, but we have one consensus, is in that we love the red and gold, and we want us to do good and win. So it's been a crazy year, Jay. This offseason is going to be crazy, but I look forward to having you on again in the future. I'm definitely looking into do some smaller scale roundtables in the next couple weeks, 3-4 weeks, once stuff gets moving. I feel like the smaller they are, the more solid they can be. When it gets to be too many people, it's just like craziness.
Yeah,
but
too many people, too many voices,
too many cooks in the kitchen. But thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Thanks for everybody in the chat who made time to come and visit. Thanks for the super chat earlier. Thanks for all your comments. But until next time, everybody, as I always say, stay safe and healthy. And as Jay always says, what's good?
What's good? Well, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Have a good night. Problem. Everybody have a good one. See ya.
See ya.